Kaja Israel, Kaba Egypt, Kaja Ethiopia, Kaja Sudan, Waja Shong. Kaja Ikushima, you know, Wanime Kona, me Waja Shong. So Timbuktu, Ghana, Mali, Sumanguru, you know, Waja Shong. Waja Jake, Waja Shong.
Enjoy some fabulous rewards. Get a cool £10 reward when you receive £100 or more from the UK. Tell your friends and family in the UK to send money to your mobile money wallet or bank account using Express Pay and get an extra £10. Terms and conditions apply.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's edition of the Ghanaian Community Awareness Forum. My name is Emmanuel Kwesi, the chairman of Ghana Union. On behalf of the partners in this program, the Ghana Nurses Association UK, the Nightingale Nurses Association UK, the Western Region Nurses Association UK, and with the support from the Ghana High Commission UK, Omega Live TV, and all the other stakeholders in this program, I welcome you to this evening for what will be an engaging interactions with our Minister of Information, the Ghana's Minister of Information, who will be with us in a couple of minutes. Before we introduce him when the time is right, we'll be going through a few house rules as always, so that you are all aware of what is expected of us. Can I just say with all humility that tonight's program is very key. We have very interesting topics for you. It is not a political platform. It is not a partisan platform. But we are going to tackle issues that are of interest to Ghanaians around the world, and for us in the UK in particular. And so my appeal to you is that while we encourage you to have your questions ready and have the ability to ask your questions, we will do so we can all interact nicely and graciously so that we can get the right information that we so very much need. As you try your best to ask your questions, please go straight to the point and let your questions reflect the topic of the discussion. My hope is that we will not find ourselves blaming one party or one government against the other, but actually deal with the issues, ask the questions around it, so that we are all going to be on the same page. Our sponsors tonight are Express Pay, who have made it possible for us to reach to you this evening. We are graciously thankful to them for their continued support. We also are graciously thankful to the Ghana High Commission for facilitating and helping us to get, obviously, the minister to appear and attend to some of our concerns this evening. If I may, I would like to say that a few house rules will remain throughout the program. All audience will be muted until we've gone through all the topic areas for discussions tonight. Once it's time for Q&A, you will have the opportunity. They will meet you so that you can unmute yourself. It is out of courtesy, and I do hope you will agree with me that it would be nice if you can show your face when you're asking a question, so that at least we know who we are engaging with. If you are not able to show yourself and you want to ask via the chat room, use your Zoom icon and raise your hand, and you'll duly be called in good time. There will be no access to share your screen at any point in time. And of course, if you have any questions, we will do our very best to make sure all questions, all who are joining us will have their time to speak. I think for us to refresh our mind on the topic areas for this evening, some of you would have seen the topic areas in the invitations that went around on social media. Tonight, we'll be talking about Free SHS. Free SHS, which is a flagship program going on in Ghana, and it's been so since, I believe, 2017. Many of us have asked the question, and tonight is our opportunity to actually hopefully get some answers to some of the questions you still have with you regarding Free SHS. A lot of people have also raised concerns or questions about Galamsey activities in Ghana, with fingers pointing to other nationals who are not particularly Ghanaian, and some who are our own people also doing the same. And I'm sure the minister will do his best to give us some indication of what the situation is on the ground. We will also be talking about the excavator burning that some of us have also seen around on social media, where excavators are retrieved from miners and are set ablaze. Some people have wondered why that is the case. So I'm sure the minister in good time will take time and address all these areas. There are, of course, issues around crime. Crime is an area of concern, especially for, I believe, for those of us in diaspora who travel to Ghana on ad hoc basis. Whenever we see these issues going on social media, it does worry us a lot. So we thought the minister could give us some sort of idea. What are the plans, what are the strategy the government has to curtail the situation on the ground? There is also a perceived culture of silence where people are not allowed to express themselves in the manner that democracy brings upon us. So that perception, I will call it perception for now, and I'm sure the minister will either confirm it or either debunk it, and we will get the opportunity to ask, obviously, why his position is so. And then, of course, what the world has gone through pandemic like no other, and we are still going through in various ways around the world. So some of you have had questions about the pandemic, government management of it, and therefore it is right and proper that as we treat all these issues, we will talk about the pandemic, how the government is dealing with it, including testing in place, tracing, quarantine, approach towards tackling public continued non-compliance to the protocols in place. So we have a lot to talk about. The process will be as follows. The minister will take each topic and give us a briefing on the topic. And once done, we will go back to the topic and take questions around the topic as it is. So I will show you a few clips that is, all of you would be aware of, some videos around each of these topics to refresh your memory about the point that we are here to discuss tonight, so that by the time the minister comes, and we will all be up to date with the information that is with us. So if I may, I'll try and get to you some of the images that have been of matter of concern. And please take your time to digest it, and then we will take it from there. Thank you very much.
Yenshansem no ase emfiri takrade amanfo na ewia ketekete na abrantie bi ne ne yere wonum koyiska ewo sikakrabia wonum uko na akonfomfo bi di 110 teta wakoji won sikai aposifo nso akopiem
Arahosama ifita krade amanfol eba enese owura bia one ne yere ekoyi sika ewo sika krabia no akromfo akodi won tente akodi sikai afiri wonsam a wasan abo wonto ewo wonsire mu na wetwem a owura yi ene ne yere ekoyi sikai ewo sika krabia hoyi wotna won ehyen mu na wokofi na when ohun se emrantie bi ete motorbike so a wodi edi won achi wenti ema wogina ya wo hwe se nka wo hwe se emrantie ebetwamu akwa nanso honoma na okoto hye won so a wo bom mienu nyinada etu ewo wonsirema wo wieye wo gi sika no edi dwaneye owura yi ene ne yere de sabre wo de omo akoto efiankwanta ayaresabia wo ge ayarehwe omanfo bi ade Ekow so na wani etwia mu bi ene adonkase ekasae
bamba bokum yeto abawie no bamba no kokko ibi de wi abeketekete wo bo shiti bu hawaji ne ya posifo be no na oyi boys no woko tia saban yesan piesa na nizi bamba no yakase wedo mo fanda bia de be place e bia weze area na woda bamba no ko ama fra woda bamba ba be bia la woda bamba no ko ama so be no botu soje fa bia na ofi ahalba minjinda chanam kase wan chawa bo pon weguan aba wa wenwure soje fun pe bia wonam wo be bi na warba opon tia sabanda mo bamba no yakase wo yando yano soje fun e post for sa yenu anu mo fun wo sisi won fa binum won ye djuma no won do so ye kombo yan bamba mo da
Tianes ana ben be no all blue be sia ben tian fast tampo pa me guy na me do so je ntian definitely na no do a bon kono botuma ide ti yedu a yeti a po to me say te you chok pare no e obitetu me according to me na me di ntimu do na kan na etuma mpa ne kede onwum na akoko onfa ne sam press na akoko ne situation bullet no tum ye ne so ye dem no moja ne ye ya obotuma ye nti onwum na akoko no ye fast nti taxi drivers ni bi no tum tui ne kan mo no okwo hospital ono ba kum no oba ne de according to me da oba na ma adwene ba so say no one or bro ba sisi tem be na mu na man no oda kan no okukan ni stie no wide wewu na tumu na guy ko no tukite toms one of po otu wo moto or the chair.
Well, welcome to the AM News. Now, a policeman escorting a bullion van was shot in the head and killed Monday afternoon near the timber market here in Accra. According to eyewitnesses, the robbers bolted with their guns or a gun of the policeman and an unspecified amount of money that was on board the van. A 40-year-old woman, mother of 3, who was hiding in a shop was also struck by a bullet, killing her instantly. This is the third such daylight attack involving guns in recent times. Maxwell Akbaba was at the crime scene and reports.
We're told that this bullion van here was actually transferring some cash to an unknown destination. Just some minutes when it got to this spot, it was crossed by a taxi driver, we are told. So that lowered the speed a bit for the bullion van. So at the time that it stopped, we are told that 6 men on different motorbikes accosted the driver of the vehicle, and we are told that resulted in the shooting of the driver, and then an armed police officer who was escorting the bullion van was also shot in the head. If you come here, there's blood splattered on the floor right now as I'm speaking to you. The bullion van also, you can still see the bullet holes on the vehicle. We're told that the robbers fired indiscriminately in this heavily populated community. We're told the entire operation lasted for about 3 minutes, to the extent that some of the community members actually tried blocking some of the exits here, just some meters away from where I'm standing. I'm told that the robbers realized that, so they used a different exit point to get out of this community. Many of the people I've been speaking to are shocked about the brazen manner which the incident happened.
What happened is that we were sitting down there, I think we were trading there buying ice cream. So the moment we heard gunshot, then one ran away, so left with 2. So we're watching what's going to happen. So what I realized is that I think they shoot the policeman, and then they shoot the driver twice, and then we saw one woman at the back, they bring it at the front, and they start beating him. So, and then one at the back tried to open the gate at the back, and then they took the money. So they were shooting the guns around, so nobody can even get close to them. Okay. Yeah, so that's the one enter the kiosk and then kill that woman over there. Because the one shooting around, we cannot get close to them. So we try our best that maybe after finishing, they will pass through this place. So we blocked that side. Oh, okay. Yeah, we blocked there. So they didn't pass there, they passed the other side. We took moto and followed them, but we couldn't get them.
Were they masked?
No.
They were not?
No.
But they were wearing helmets?
They didn't wear helmets. Those holding the guns, they are not wearing anything. They're just holding the guns directly. Yeah.
Did you hear the language they were speaking?
Oh, I didn't hear it because we are almost 50 meters to them. But only we are hearing gunshot and things. And then where we are, the gun cannot even enter because we are dodging and watching them.
A woman who sells in a convenience store here was hit by the bullets that was fired by the robbers. We are told that she operates the convenience store that is here. One of the bullets that was fired actually penetrated this barrel that is here. So you can see the bullet hole on this barrel, very visible. The first one here penetrated the top, and then the second one penetrated the down. And after penetrating, while she was hiding in this room, we are told that the bullet penetrated this point. She was standing, and then they hit her in the neck, and that was what killed her, according to eyewitnesses. Quite a number of people are gathered in a home commiserating with the family. It's all tears for them. I have a woman here who is quite concerned about the issue.
The lady who is gone now is my sister-in-law, and it's very sad because he left with 3 children. And our presidents and the ministries of defense should take it serious, that it shouldn't happen again. That the mother should leave their children around over this time. It's very painful. That is all what I can say. Now look at my brother. See how he's suffering. Not talking of me going to take care of the children. It's very bad and very painful. I'm sad and disappointed. Yes, that was before 3 months. We heard that they broke some jail, and I'm sure some of them have run into this place, and they are including of what happened. So the government should work hard and look for them and deal with them.
Just some minutes ago, also, we had the mayor of Accra coming here to commiserate with the family.
But I think that as a nation, we should be mindful and probably step up the retrieval of people, retrieval of a lot of ammunitions. So I think that it's important we take note of that. That there are too many, maybe, unlicensed ammunitions probably in the hands of people. And as a nation, we should step up the retrieval of such ammunitions. I mean, just look at the community. A lot of people are here. A lot of people are here. So just take note of that.
Let's speak to the husband of the deceased.
I was called on a phone by a young lady to be told that my wife is lying in a pool of blood. But then I was far from home, so I have to rush over here. And I came to, it's true, when I came it was true that the body has been taken to the police morgue.
So it's not even seen the body yet. When was the last time you spoke to her?
We spoke yesterday several times. We spoke in the night, discussing about the children. And the time for me to call is around 12 o'clock, only to be informed that
picked up by the police, bundled into 2 police vehicles. Oh, this is a night time. It's a good sign for this. Is it? No, you're just taking everything. There you have it. They never did anything. They never did anything wrong. So there they are. As they move, they've been transported in your shot. We do not have any idea where they're being sent to, but they have been picked up. They have been picked up. They have been picked up by the police. Operation.
The team stormed the Tabosre forest enclave and caught these Chinese miners by surprise. They have invaded the forest, destroying natural resources spanning about 10 football fields.
It looks like there is no end to this illegal mining craze. Now, deep within the Tabosre forest enclave, you could see over 10 excavators within this forest, destroying it with impunity.
The Oda River, which runs through this forest, has turned milky mud with no sign of life. The thick forest cover has been depleted, with scenes of tree species cut and buried in mud.
Commander, do any problem?
One of the commanders loses balance as we thread dangerous routes, the only link between these illegal mining sites. The team lent many of the miners destroying this forest have no permits.
So far, nobody has been able to show us any legal documents binding their operations here.
One of them is Alhaji Issa Odate, who had physical confrontation with the task force. He claims the concession was awarded to him by the Minerals Commission, but has no documents to prove.
Site when a Mineral Commission.
This site was given to us by the Minerals Commission. I'm into small-scale mining. We are not given any documents. Concessions are given to miners.
Every month we be 20,000.
We pay 20,000 Ghana cedis every month. It's part of the community mining regime. At this site, where we found close to 12 excavators, the supervisor, Wan Umar, said they were mining with permission from some powerful people.
Hello, Director.
Later, a man who identified himself as Charles Owusu, a relative of the late Sir John, claimed ownership of the illegal mining site, begging the team to leave the site. But the task force removed all the excavators and transported them across the Oda River. In all, 10 excavators were effectively tracked out of the forest. 7 Chinese miners were arrested and transported to Accra for prosecution.
The environment here is begging to be saved. These trees you see behind me, some have been standing for hundreds of years, will be no more if no action is taken. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Tabosre, Western Region.
The Bultre River runs through the Ahanta West Municipality as well as the Mpoho and the Wasa East District in the Western Region. The river is the major source of water for residents of Ewusejo, Freti, Otopo, and other communities close by. Residents say the water was clean and clear before the river was taken over by Galamsey activities.
To 5 years now quite important suma the two de Oquensina or then soon. Yeah, one number will soon open soon the Damanam or Dambu and that is Sunai, Lubibasa, and 2 Numusunu.
Women and children in this community use the river water for all their domestic work. Despite the pollution from mining and washing in the river, residents drink this water without any treatment. Food vendors around here also source their water from the polluted river. Comfort Person, who operates a small eatery, says she has no choice than to use the contaminated water to make food for sale.
You know, I say, Nana, yes, I had Eddie Ban, Bibiala, and in so baby, Papi away, Nina, I say, Miss Nomba. It is your name, yes, I did Bibiala, and in so babyala. I'm saying for so what you want, I see when you know. Then you what work a clear. Yes, I near the alarm near the Atu.
23-year-old Innocent Mochian is unemployed and lives with his parents here. He complains about side effects whenever he uses the water from the Bultre River for bathing. He adds that he cannot afford to buy water.
It's need on yet. Because one thing, it may be and now you finish on one and this house, a Jumani Ghana had a make a crew, Ghana and a Jumania. You must have widen.
Residents here are pleading with authorities to clamp down Galamsey activities soon in order to save their source of water, the Butre River.
The Galamsey people have polluted the water. Because of that, you can't use it to cook and bath. Sometimes when you bath and our self is engineers, so we want the Galamsey people to stop doing that so that you can use it to cook and bath.
Henry Kwesi Beru, Metro News, Ewusejo.
TV. MPP delegates and Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. Omo Geneso na eyasi ifa ko ma peniwa ha o. Oma peniwa eyasi na ubeshe senia MPP delegates eboji yera Mahmoud Baumia so a empeni process wani ense okatre. E wase wo ha the Baumia movement. The Baumia movement, the DMB movement, a pussy will be our party. I can tell you, sir, and then almost 80% in our body, Yura, Mahmoud, Baumiaso. This movement, I beg you can't stop it. You can't stop it. The movement is strong, the movement is tight. In fact, Baumiaso is MPP for actually Yura, Baumia, or the Baba. How much another Baba? Come on. Thank you, so share watching my TV. And I'm a celebrate. Aha, any embassy. Let me show you now. Sam Bass sit down. Yes, not of the Mahmoud Bamia.
There's no society in the world where there's no crime. Even in the US, in the UK, Sweden, and all those countries where I would say they more or less have everything, they still have crime. The only place that doesn't have crime is heaven, and we are not in heaven. So if any so-called security analysis says that we are not on top of our game, that's why this is not happening. I mean, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
And so thank you so much, audience and guests tonight who are all joining in. I'm sure we are going to show you a few more. You see, the whole point is we need you to prepare to speak. Perhaps we can probably go straight to Q&A after some time. And once we do, you have the opportunity to speak. We are here for you this evening. But we've shown you a series of videos. Just to recap your memory, we've shown you one that was about the pandemic, a big funeral of Sir John in his hometown, where, as is clearly, I have not authenticated this video, but it is by no means an evidence of what is going on. And this is happening at a time where we are all being told in Ghana, funerals are only limited to 25 people, or burial, if I would say. And so it'll be a good area to start refreshing your mind once we usher the minister in. We've also showed you a video about a river, which is sadly a river that I know very well. Some many years ago, I used to swim in that river. And every time I go to Ghana, I drive past it, my heart just bleeds. And so the minister will be able to articulate on the topic about that river regarding, what's it called, Galamsey. He will also address the issue of escalator burning. Why do we have property seized and destroyed rather than property seized and used for state purposes? And others that I'm sure we have already displayed to you. I think we are at a point where we will give the minister the opportunity to come in officially, and I will introduce our special guest for tonight. This evening, the Ghanaian Community Awareness Forum and its captured audience around the world, watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom, live on Omega Live TV, on Ghanaian Awareness, Community Awareness Forum platforms. We are privileged to have with us the Minister of Information, Ghana's Minister of Information. The man we are introducing to you is the Honorable Vincent Kojo Opon Nkrumah, a Ghanaian politician who has a background in finance, law, development studies, and communications. He started his career as a treasury analyst in 2006, and in later years, he moved on to become a journalist and subsequently a practicing lawyer. During the 2016 elections, he won the seat of Ofuasi-Ayerbi constituency in the eastern region of Ghana and was sworn in as a member of parliament in January 2017. And subsequent to that, after his swearing in, he was appointed as a Deputy Minister for Information. In November 2018, having well executed his duty under the Deputy Ministerial Appointment, government and the head of state, the president, had so much confidence in him and appointed him as a substantive Minister of Information. In December 2020 elections, he was re-elected by his constituents and again sworn in January 2021. With full confidence in him again, the government saw it appropriate to enable him keep up the good work he started and to continue. So he was reappointed again and vetted by the appropriate committees in Parliament to serve as the minister responsible for information. The person I speak of from my research this afternoon, without putting him against anybody, but from the information I read about him, because I wanted to know a bit more, is one of the Ghanaian politicians who, according to modern Ghana media channels, is being tipped as somebody who has the potential to become a president in the future among 10 people that were selected. And so he is somebody held in high esteem. He has won a number of awards. He's a Christian and married to Madam Ekow and has 4 adorable children. Audience this evening, without much ado, let me welcome the Honorable Vincent Kojo Opon Nkrumah. Honorable, good evening and welcome to Ghanaian Community Awareness Forum.
Thank you. Good evening, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be with you and the many Ghanaians who've joined us on this forum tonight. Thank
you, Honorable. Just for your information, this platform has audience from all across the world, UK, Ireland, everywhere. We are attracting a lot of people, well over 10 to 20,000 per each program. So you're talking to a wider audience. And I hope that tonight you have the opportunity to allay some of the concerns that we have, and rightly so, because a majority of us, for one or two other reasons, are not frequent in Ghana. And some of these images does worry us, and I'm sure you would understand why. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Tonight, our schedule is as follows. We will give you the opportunity to address any issues you have on the topic areas that we have agreed with you. Obviously, when we get to question and answers, I cannot predict what might come up. It could be recent, it could be past, and I'm sure you in your capacity will find the right moment to deal with them. We have topics on free SHS. We are also going to talk about Galamsey activities in Ghana. And our rationale is that on the free SHS, you talk about the double tracking system and what its impact has been, its funding, and how we've got to where we are. On the topic of Galamsey, we are hoping that you talk about what are the strategies the government is putting in place or has put in place to tackle it going forward, and how our water bodies could be restored to its former glory. There are areas around excavator burning. People are wondering, why do we have to seize an item that can be for state use and now is being burnt to ashes? And also an area of crime is becoming an area that all of us in the diaspora worry about. Culture of silence. People are now feeling there's this perception around the country, rightly or wrongly, that when you speak, you have BNI at your doorsteps, either arresting you or locking you up somewhere, from the informations and the videos that we see around. I have to say, none of these videos, we have not authenticated any of that. So please feel free to share the accurate information for your audience tonight. And also the issue of COVID-19 management. There has been scenes where some high-profile officials have got themselves attending funerals that, according to the president, should be only 25, and we were seeing something that we would normally describe as a rally other than a funeral. So I will leave you to address it in the manner that you find it appropriate, and we'll come to Q&A at the end of it. Thank you so much, Honorable. Please take over.
Yes, thank you very much once again for the opportunity to be with you. Let me start by putting a little caveat in our conversation. I'm speaking to you from the Jubilee House, from the ground floor of the Jubilee House. And I'm speaking to you from this place because the president has called an emergency COVID meeting, which will start probably in the next about 20 minutes. Indeed, it was supposed to start a bit earlier, but I'm told that in the next about 20 minutes, it may start. So we have only about 20 minutes to make as much of our conversation as we can. And I'm coming right from my constituency where I was earlier today, and from where I was hoping we'll have this call this evening until I was called to rush back to Accra for the COVID meeting. As you do know, the Delta variant is in Ghana. Our case count is around 3,600 plus. And we are preparing, possibly the president will have to address the country. So that's why we've been called here for this emergency meeting. So I'll make my remarks very quick and then we can take as many questions as possible. The Akufo-Addo administration is in the second term of its mandate. And so far, central government has been formed. In the next few days, we're expecting that the local governments will also be kicking into steam with the announcement of the MMDCs as nominated by His Excellency the President. But the second term starts off on a very difficult note for us, primarily because of what COVID has done to our economy and our ability to deliver on various items. You will recall, as I think the Americans put it, that it's all about the economy in the end, because that is what becomes a key and opens up development, quality of life, etc. President Akufo-Addo started off from 2017, lifting Ghana's economy up, average of about 7% growth, 2017, 2018, 2019. And then in 2021, COVID hit us. We came down to as low as 0.9%. This year is aimed at recovering the Ghanaian economy. Recovery is already rebounding at about 3.1% of GDP for the first quarter. The composite index of economic activity, which is a measure of economic activity that signals how growth is coming up, tells us that quarter two will be equally good. The IMF is predicting that we'll end the year at about 4.7. And you'll recall that 4.7 is even way higher than what we inherited at the end of 2016. So even the recovery from 0.9, if it happens this year at 4.7, will be a remarkable one. But in the end, we have to let the economy get back on steam, and we need to find resources which we don't have currently, to fund our flagship programs and the development agenda of Ghana. The COVID situation has caused our revenues to literally dwindle very much, has led to a lot of borrowing. It is predicted that debt to GDP ratio will be about 83% by the end of this year, which is way, way, way too high. And this is even as we're trying to bring the deficit down without shocking the economy too much. So we are in a difficult space as a country, as are many other economies, I'm sure, in Europe where you are. But the government is committed and is resolute and aimed at helping us recover. And we've been calling on all Ghanaians to help us to do so. The free senior high school program, no doubt, has been a success, but it has had challenges. Challenges include the then unavailability of residential facilities in many places, leading to overcrowding of students. And so what the administration did in the last 2 years, and is still wrapping up this year, is to invest heavily in dormitory blocks so that the congestion can be eased up a little bit. Galamsey continues to be a challenge. We have fought a good fight, made some gains. Indeed, the gains cost us a lot of votes in a lot of the, may I say, the mining areas. But we also suffered some losses because as community mining was introduced and as people were allowed to go back with the expectation that having trained them and now policing them, we find that a lot of illegal and irresponsible mining has been going on. And it's been going on primarily led by Ghanaians, including chiefs, politicians, ordinary citizens, youth. We have been our worst enemy, and we have invited the Chinese to join us in raping our motherland. The government has been strong on that with Operation Halt 2, focusing on water bodies for now, water bodies, and has been clearing up all of these water bodies, hundreds of Shamfire machines destroyed. And as part of that, if an excavator is found in a water body or 100 meters away from a water body, it is demobilized. The soldiers resort to burning because it is caught in the act of illegality, and therefore it is not even confiscated, let alone now be treated as though it was a confiscated asset. It is destroyed on site as a deterrent to the persons who are involved in using the excavator in the water body or around the water body. As you will know, there are many other countries that actually employ such methods. If I'm correct, it will be Indonesia also, that is dealing with illegal fishing by burning the trawlers and the boats that are being used for illegal fishing. They are not bringing the trawlers and the boats to land ostensibly to use for other purposes. You need to send a very strong signal that you're serious about it. And so we are not the only country that is destroying assets being used in illegality. On the crime and security front, the statistics suggest that armed robbery and crimes have gone down, but the level of violence, even with the lower numbers, in some cases have gone up. And that is why you've seen, for example, the shooting of an on-duty police officer who was, guarding a bullion, and then some other heinous crimes. So though the numbers have gone down, the level of violence in some cases has gone up. It's also come at a time when we have suffered a number of unwarranted conduct from some of our security officers, including what happened in Wa, and immediate action was taken and these persons have been sanctioned. We saw a clash between security agencies and the youth of Ejura, which is currently under investigation. And the committee of inquiry is here to present its report so that all the speculation we are hearing currently, we can find out exactly what happened as a matter of fact. Two final things and then I'll wrap up. There's no culture of silence in Ghana. On a daily basis, every Ghanaian has the liberty to say what he wants to say and say it how he wants to say it. But some persons have not been happy that when they speak, other people speak back at them. Some persons are of the view that when they speak, especially when they criticize government, people associated with government should be quiet, should not defend government, should not have a contrary opinion. And when that happens, they say there's a culture of silence. We respectfully disagree. There's no culture of silence in Ghana today. And it is totally not true that when you speak in Ghana, the BNI will come for you. There's no single case that can be articulated that when you speak in Ghana, the BNI will come for you. On a daily basis, people disagree with government, people disagree with the president, people disagree with ministers, and freely articulate same. But those who want to operate in the public space of exchanging ideas must also be willing to take feedback from other people. So when I speak and people come back at me, sometimes even insult me, I don't say that it's a culture of silence. They are not silencing me. They're expressing their displeasure about what I may have said. That is a democracy. And in the same way, when other persons, be they journalists, civil society persons, ordinary Ghanaians, political actors speak, and other people do not agree with them, they would also have to have the right to have their say. What we will not countenance will be violence or attacks against people just because they have expressed their thoughts. And the law enforcement agencies are encouraged at any point in time that happens to do their job. Finally, as I mentioned, COVID is giving us a difficult time. The global challenges have been such that we've not been able to get all the vaccines that we desire. Even efforts by the minister responsible for health to secure vaccines through what some are describing as middlemen, but what he describes as authorized agents, is come under parliamentary scrutiny, which is currently ongoing. And we think the scrutiny is in the right direction. Let us all examine and see if the state has lost any money or anything untoward has been occasioned. That is the essence of these parliamentary inquiries, and we encourage it. But we are having a tough time with COVID now, especially as Delta is here and the numbers are going up. We continue to encourage compliance. Admittedly, we have all not been compliant at various points in time, and at many occasions, we have been complacent. Even enforcement has gone down a bit. But we have to recognize the truth and work more assiduously to ensure that there is enforcement and a greater protection of the Ghanaian people. These will be my comments, and perhaps in the next 10, 15 minutes, Ms. Moderator, if you take questions from me, I'll have an opportunity to respond to them before the boss makes his way downstairs, and then I'll have to run.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you. Thank you for the time. I think there are hands up. I will have one question before I let some hands up. If I may ask you, did you actually attend the funeral of Sir John, or do you know of any state official that attended? And what's your thought on their presence at that funeral in the midst of lockdown or some element of lockdown at gatherings? What is your view?
So, no, I was not at Sir John's burial. I think earlier in your comment, there was a comment that you made that we have to correct. Private burials are the ones that are limited to 25 people, that not more than 25 people should do a burial. Memorial services or requiem masses, like all other church service, do not have a number of people who can go to church. So as you're observing, people can take the mortal remains to church. There could be hundreds of people there. The important thing is to observe the social distancing and the prevention protocols as any other church service will observe, including the wearing of masks. But I think it is not something that is too difficult to recognize that there was a large gathering at Sir John's funeral, as there has been a large gathering at many other things that we will not desire. All of those are examples of times when I think compliance has not been at the top. But what we need to do is to ensure that we urge a lot more compliance and that the security agencies will do a lot more enforcement. From what the epidemiologists tell us, they were looking for the 14-day period, or they always look at the 14-day period after some of these things and observe these people to see if there will be a massive rise in cases. But even if the data did not suggest that it led to an increase in cases, I think the optics were not good enough. And it is something that we all have to learn a lesson from.
No, thank you, Honorable. And I have to say that some of this clarity is what is more needed, because for the ordinary Ghanaian walking around thinking burial or funeral is all limited to 25. As you have clearly said, it didn't quite come up as if there was no limit to some element of...
Let me explain. Funerals are banned. Funerals in the sense of we go and sit and contributions are being taken and there are receptions, etc. That is what we are calling a funeral. That is what is banned, because a lot of the data suggested that it was at these places where people were taking off their masks and singing and eating and conversing that transmission was taking place. So in the church services, etc., where everybody's masked up, that does not appear to be a challenge. That's why church services are still open today. But the parties and the funerals and the social gatherings that allow eating and drinking and conversations, those are the ones I've been. But just to provide some clarity on that one. But I guess, like I mentioned earlier, it was an opportunity also to learn a lesson. And we as a government have to learn a lesson and take feedback that we have to also observe the things that we are preaching.
Thank you. I'll call somebody on the chats. Winnie, there's someone called Winnie whose hands is up. There's another person called You and Me. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. If you can change your name, please, kindly, so we can talk to somebody. You and Me is not a name, if I may say so. We have Winnie, if you want to ask a question, please, because a minister is rushing off to quite an important engagement.
Hello, Mr. Kwezin. Thank you. I'm using Winifred's phone. I'm happy to see my honorable minister trying to address issues. My name is John Akumeni. I live in Ghana. I came to UK just yesterday. I would like to make a comment. My comment is that what is going on in Ghana, the government is doing its best. People are saying, fix the country. Others are saying, fix yourself. What I see between this is that there's the need for our authorities to allow rules to work. When we take Galamsey, we take COVID restrictions and all those things, the issue has to do with restrictions and making sure that laws work and that the law must be applied irrespective of the individual. I drive in Accra, Tema, along the Cape Coast route, and you see V8 with lights, red and blue lights, and they drive it regardless of traffic. These are the issues that we need to fix. And if we take Singapore, for example, they started with the if I say the big men, that when you punish those at the helm of affairs, those of us below have no right to misbehave. And so, Mr. Honorable Minister, I would suggest as a Ghanaian to you that let's allow the laws to work. And if we start disciplining ourselves from the top, the downtrodden Ghanaian will have no place. And so this is the bane of our problem in Ghana. So fix the country and fix ourselves. If the leaders, you start fixing from the top, all our problems will be solved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Minister, please.
Let me comment is well taken and taken in good faith. If I'm allowed to make a few comments on it, let me make them. While I take the comment in good faith, I honestly don't believe that there's one single solution to all of Ghana's problems, i.e. that if you fix the leadership or if the leaders do something, then everything will be fixed. No, I think that our problems are hydra-headed and different things need to be done by different people at different stages to get it done. And I agree with you that the law should be allowed to work. Unfortunately, in Ghana, as I'm sure you know, there are many times when you even want the law to work and you are committed to letting the law work, we, the same Ghanaians, are the ones who will get our chiefs and our religious leaders and our own people literally begging and making all sorts of appeals as to why the law must not work. While I consider leadership should be resolute and not kowtow to any of these pressures, I think that in making this call, we must all also be cognizant of our collective roles. That if we want the law to work, we should also be at a point where we understand that if I fall foul of the law, I'm not going to call my friend or my uncle who is a minister or who is a government official that talk to the policeman for me or something. So I agree with you, and I think that it's a collective thing we need to do. I have a controversial view on the subject of V8s and people driving around with strobe lights, etc. I think it's a nuisance on our streets, and it's a nuisance because everybody or so many people are pretending and purporting to have the mandate to be excused of the traffic rules. I personally believe that a lot of the V8s that you see on our roads with strobe lights, etc., may not necessarily be government officials. In fact, we've had occasions sometimes to check and stop, and you'll find out that they are not government officials. Big pastor, big businessman, and you will find police people escorting them, or fixing all sort of strobe lights to their vehicles. And in Ghana, somebody sees a big V8 driving by and does not want to stop. A policeman will not want to stop and even find out who it is. Also because of the same big man syndrome, that some people are above the law. On the government side, I'm sure you have seen the clear instruction that has been given, that there are only a few government officials who are allowed to use dispatch riders. And dispatch riders will be a police officer with a police bike escorting and clearing the way. Part of the reason for which I'm late to come and see you today is because I'm having to rush from my constituency to come and see you today, and I'm not allowed to use a dispatch rider or strobe lights. But if we get to that point where we are, like you said earlier, enforcing the law, ensuring that nobody is bending the rules, then you can comfortably say that at least ministers of state, because of the up and down, rushing and dealing with so many things, should be afforded a dispatch rider. In that case, you probably have only 30 people across the country or 46 people across the country who are using a dispatch. And that may not be as much of a nuisance as it is today, where you see, vehicles going up and down and you can't even determine. So those may be my controversial comments on that one. Please forgive me if I offended you with it, but they are my honest thoughts and I thought I should share them.
Thank you. Can I call Abba Asma? Thank you, Honorable. Can I call Abba Asma, please? Abba Asma. Our minister is running out of time.
Thank you, Mr. Kwesi.
Yeah.
Hi, Minister. I just wanted to find out, in the Western region where my mom lives, the vaccine program was very scatty, and therefore she couldn't have her vaccine. She's 73 at the moment and has got a lot of underlying conditions. And when I speak to my colleagues who are nurses in Takrady, for example, a lot of the vaccinations information didn't get to a lot of people. Therefore, they are being disadvantaged and disenfranchised in that aspect. So I just want to know how the poor are being vaccinated, whereby they are the same people living in this cluster of a lot of people in different in one area. For example, the Zongos and the overpopulated areas, they will be the people who driving the data variants, for example. So how is it that we're going to get the vaccinations to these poor people rather than concentrating mainly in Accra, where a lot of people are, there are a lot of poor people, but a lot of rich people and people in the upper class have had 2 vaccines where the poor people haven't had any. So that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abba. Quickly, let me respond. Our vaccine deployment strategy in the midst of the shortage of vaccines is not wealth-based. Neither is it class-based. So it is not about whether you are rich or poor. It's about where you live and your propensity to be part of what we call the at-risk population. The virus is endemic in Accra and Kumasi. In fact, today, part of the data we are seeing, about 3,600 cases, is endemic in Accra and Kumasi. And to break the chain, one of the things you need to do is to shore up vaccination in Accra and Kumasi so that people who are most at risk in Accra and Kumasi are reduced in terms of their risk profile. That is the reason for which there was a concentration in Accra and Kumasi, not because of wealth. In fact, in Accra and Kumasi, if you followed the data on the persons for it, was age, mostly people with underlying conditions, healthcare workers, frontline workers, etc. So it is not about wealth or about class. It's about your geographic location and its proximity to the epicenter of the pandemic that we are dealing with currently. Now, in terms of vaccine information, all the information has been made available. It's online. We hold regular briefings at the Ministry of Information. The Ghana Health Service has made documents available. The truth, Abba, is that a lot of our people would rather not even do basic research on anything online. He's rather waiting in a WhatsApp group for somebody to send something, and then he's forwarding it, asking, is it true? Is it true? I've not heard anything. All of the fake news that is flying about and people are believing is because a lot of people don't simply want to check anything for themselves. So particularly for health workers, I can tell you as a matter of fact that all the information has been made available to health workers online, through the Ministry of Information, through pamphlets, etc. All it takes is for somebody to just Google it, and they'll find all the information there. I will beg of you to encourage your health colleagues to just also do the last mile for us. Government can do a lot, but government can't do everything for you. There's a part of it where you also have to just Google it, and they'll see that all that information is already being provided online. So please do share that information with them. It will be on the Ghana Health Service web pages as well, and then the Ministry of Information pages as well. Abba, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Minister. There's a chat room question which I want to ask before I go to the next person on that. He said one of the most important initiatives by this government was the National Identity Project because data is critical for public management. After the project, there is no clear indication of how the data is being used to improve leadership and people in Ghana. Can the minister kindly explain how the data collected by NIA is at present and in the future going to be useful for us as a nation? Secondly, what is the state of agriculture and industrialization? One district, one factory of the country. So a bit of clarification as to how data collected through the NIA exercise.
In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, we had a whole press briefing with the NHI, with the National Identification Authority to answer this question on what the data has been used for. So again, it will come to me as a surprise, that there are still questions about that. The National Identification data currently is doing at least three things. One, it is a repository in itself of ID and biometric ID. So today, when we need to match your biometrics to that database to check anything, that database is available. And so whether it's for police referencing or all other checks that require certain biometric matching, we're able to do that. But also specifically, the national ID is now being matched to the National Health Insurance Card. You dial *929 *#, I think. We've spent a lot of time doing public education on how you can connect your national ID card to your NHIA card and also for renewal purposes. I may have missed the number, *929, I think it's *#. Again, I'll encourage colleagues, if you just Google matching national ID with NHIA Ghana, all of that data will pop up. It's also been matched with your SNIT data. And now, even though initially very few people were on the SNIT database and were only identified by their SNIT numbers, it is now being matched, I think from the beginning of this month, now being matched or merged with your SNIT data. So over a period, SNIT will no longer be giving you SNIT numbers, and national ID numbers will suffice for social security. Additionally, tax identification numbers are being merged with the national ID. We used to have, I think, about 3 or 5 million people on the TIN database. At the click of a button after merging, we now have about 13 million people, if my data is correct, on the tax identification database. So as the process goes on, your national ID becomes your TIN, your SNIT, and your NHIA. And gradually, all these multiple registration exercises that we do will come to an end. Our hope is that the Electoral Commission itself, even moving on, will now adopt the national ID as the database from which it compiles its voters register. That'll be a quick answer to your question.
Thank you, Honorable. Kojo Ampa, please. Kojo Ampa, would you want to ask your question? And let's go straight to the point. Brief. Our minister is, again, reminding us that yes.
Thank you very much, Minister, for coming on this platform to express, give us information about whatever is going on in Ghana. We live in diaspora, and we need to know a lot because we are very much interested in what is going on in Ghana. Unfortunately, thank you so much again. And I will commend you, a politician in Ghana, for absorbing all these insults that comes from all over the place. In fact, I think in my view, Ghana is one of the best countries in the whole world where politicians can absorb all these things. Recently in UK here, a parliamentarian go to the parliament and call and said to the prime minister that he lied and she was kicked out. I believe my honorable friends will believe that, say that yes, that is true. And I think, but in Ghana, things can go on even worse than that. But our politician endures it. And I recommend you for that, for enduring it. My first question that I wanted to ask is about education. Education is that grows a country. Whether you like it or not, education grows the country. And I realized of late from the videos and a lot of things that I've been saying, it's like we sort of think that education is about Disadel, Achimota.
Sorry, can I kindly say that the minister is fully aware of the merits and demerits of all that you've said. Thank you. But would you please ask the question, because there are others who would like to have a turn. Okay,
fine. Thank you. My question is, what is the minister doing about, I know he's the minister of communication, but at least he knows what is going on in the other sector. What is he doing about education? Because we have seen a lot of, ministers are buying V8, a lot of cars, whereby a car, for instance, that car costs about $60,000, and $60,000 can build a lot of units for other deprived area in Ghana, for instance, in the villages. But the minister, they are not doing anything about that. And the children are sitting under trees.
So the question is, what is the minister, what is the government or the minister
doing about that? That's my question.
Okay, Mr. Minister, please. Thank you so much. Do you want to respond, please?
Yeah. Yes, please. Let me just make a quick comment even before I deal with the specific. We should be, and I say this very respectfully, we should be very careful about a trend that is emerging in our country on social media and even on mainstream media, where the exception is mainstreamed as though it is the norm. And then we build a narrative that suggests that nothing good is happening except that exception that we have seen. So I want to deal with the subject of school infrastructure. I just mentioned earlier the hundreds of dormitory blocks that have been built. Basic schools, scores of them that have been built. And yes, it is true, you will find that there are still some schools under trees or schools without adequate furniture. But I bet you, my brother, the schools without furniture or the schools under tree, even if it is one, it is not good enough, but it is not the majority. But sometimes you find that we'll take that one example of a school under tree or a school with inadequate furniture and create the impression as though all Ghanaian children are sitting under trees or have no furniture. And I think that we should be a bit careful, because when we succeed in painting what is an untrue picture about ourselves, that is what the world will consume about ourselves. There used to be a time when the Western media was the one that was telling the story that Africa was a basket case, and African media was fighting it and telling the good story of Africa rising. Today, it is the reverse. We ourselves mainstream the exception and try to make it the real. Since I became a member of parliament, schools under trees has been something of interest to me. So I sought to find out, how do these schools under trees happen? I asked my district education director, my DCE, I want to have the list of schools under trees or schools with inadequate furniture in my district, and I want to go there and have a look. I found a few in my district. And when I went there, first of all, you find out that they are not government schools. You find out that the community decided that we want to build a school. And they may not have the resources and the infrastructure to build a school. And perhaps in the government rollout of schools program, they may not have reached that community yet. And it is okay for the community to say we want to build a school. So the community gets up to build a school. And sometimes you find that the community is used wooden materials or sometimes even under a tree or something to accommodate the children for purposes of tuition. Then the next step is that they appeal to MP or to DC that, can you absorb the cost of paying our teachers for us while we wait for a school to be constructed? And in the bid for government to reach out, because if you've not reached there to build a school and they've done something and they say absorb them, the least you can do is work to have them absorbed. So sometimes you make a step and then they are absorbed. And then while we are now trying to get a school out there, the impression is created that this is a government school under tree and the government doesn't care about it. And I think that when you see that video, somebody takes a video of a building and say, look, this is a school under tree. Nobody cares about these children. I think it will help if we also have a deeper understanding of what is transpiring in that particular place, because no DC will go and put children under a tree that they should study. No DC will construct a wooden shack for children that they should go and study there. When the government builds a school, whether it's NDC government or MPP government, I'm MPP man, but I will not even believe that an DC will go and build a wooden shack and put people there. Often what happens is that it is a community school that they are asking the state to take up. And maybe the state has not reached that point where it has put infrastructure around there. So there's a lot of work ongoing. Yes, you will find some schools that have not been given the full breadth of infrastructure or furniture. I had to just donate some furniture to a school in my district because they didn't have furniture, but it was because they were also now asking government to take up what they had put together. So yes, you'll find a bit of that, but I assure you that is not the norm. It is actually the exception. And government should still be responsive in dealing with it. It is our responsibility. We should be responsive, but we need to get the context, I think, quite clearly. I want to say something about this V8 comment that you made, because sometimes I see a lot of people juxtapose that and say, you see them buy. So like you said, ministers are buying V8 and there are some children under school. I've tried to explain the context within which that happens. But, and I say this in all humility, if you find it offensive, please forgive me. Democracy is expensive. I am just coming back from my constituency, which is about 3 hours from Accra. I had to be driving around 100 kilometers per hour on the highway until I got into Accra when there's traffic and I have to take my time and then get in. And it is simply impossible for me as a member of parliament to do that trip if I don't have an official vehicle. In Ghana, members of parliament are not given an official vehicle. They are asked to buy their own car and use for their work. And then the state supports them by making the car tax-free and taking a part of the interest and I think recently even a certain part of the principal that they want to take. But I'm just saying this to make the point that democracy is expensive. And we will have to spend some money on getting our democracy running while we deal with the other education matters. Education is the right of every child. We have to ensure that we provide education for every child. But you find communities that say that I don't want to go to this school that has been provided. We want to build our own school here and may not have the resources. And sometimes it leads to all of this. I saw another question pop up that why can't ministers buy their own cars, take a loan to buy their own car and use? Respectfully, I don't think that in many of the other jurisdictions that we are talking about, ministers take a loan to buy a car to use for their official purposes. Because, like we say in Chinsati, I know ministers who use their private vehicles to do government business today in Ghana because they are well-resourced so to do. I know some other people who are appointed as minister because they are competent, but they don't necessarily have the resources to buy an official or to buy a V8 and be using from Accra to Tamale for government work. And I think that we have to be able to accommodate both. We will need to provide some things for our democracy to function, and we will still need to provide the resources and logistics for schools and other things out there. But I beg of all of us that we should also first not just buy everything we see on social media, but take an understanding, and we will now begin to also see some of the steps that are being taken. I know some of my views are controversial, but please forgive me.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. There's a chat room question which I want to raise with you. Someone is saying security in the country is scary for diasporas. For diasporas, when we come home, How is the government dealing with the insecurity in Ghana? I know you partially touched on some aspect of it. Would you want to please comment?
Yeah, very quickly, let me say two things. So you've heard recently that government has given financial clearance to recruit more persons in the security architecture of the country. And we also need to make a lot more investment in the security architecture of the country. Where all of you are, you notice the kind of investment that is made in security. We need to do more in terms of investing in our security so that we can feel safer. As I mentioned, though, in terms of the nominals, the numbers may have come down, the level of violence has gone up. And I agree with you, we need to do a bit more in investing in security. We also have to get our people to be more security aware or more conscious of their security so that they can share a lot of information with the intelligence and security agencies to better protect us. Are you checking? Because your phone is here. So check the limit.
Thank you, Minister. May I call Noel Alote, please? Noel. Is Noel still with us, please?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yes. So, okay. So,
straight questions, please.
Yeah, definitely. Minister, upon, we've met with you at the town hall in London before, and we had a good chat. But what I want to say to those of us in the diaspora is that we live in a country, United Kingdom, USA, Europe, where it took a very long time for democracy to be established, infrastructure to be developed. And sometimes because we live in a country like this, when every time we tend to want to compare what we have in the UK with Ghana, it doesn't work out that way. But to the minister, there are some of us who are willing, we are not aligned to any political party. We have Ghana at heart and would like to help in any form or any way that we can help. So some of us will get in touch with the TV channel and then we'll connect with you. We just want to give up our time because yes, it's easy living in the UK and all these developed world, but it took them a while to develop the infrastructure and the community we live in. So we want to help Ghana. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm told the president has arrived and has taken his seat. So I have just about 5 minutes and then I have to run away.
Okay, thank you. And Andrew Che, please.
Can I ask if there are any plans at all to roll out the Ghana card to cover those of us in the diaspora?
I do not know of any immediate plans to that effect.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Ohima Faye, are you with us still? We've got a few minutes. Ohima.
Yes. Hello, Sir Grayson and Honourable Kojo Ponkruma. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Ohima Faye, a Law LLB graduate. My questions are directed towards the topics of the culture of silence and security in Ghana. Do you believe that the slight increase in violence is due to unemployment and poverty? And if so, would you encourage for there to be a rise in private businesses to lower this? Secondly, do you believe the Ghanaian youth raise good points but deliver them in a disrespectful way, which contributes to the culture of feeling silence? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll beg of you for this to be my final question so that I can rush the COVID meeting. Yes, I believe that we need to do a lot more to encourage young people to go into private business, and we need to support a lot of young people in private business. So at my ministry, for example, we've rolled out a project we call Amplified, which seeks to showcase the example of a lot of young people who are doing great things in business as a way of encouraging other young people and connecting them to some of the opportunities that exist in the Ghanaian ecosystem, as limited as they may be. I think young people are free to express themselves in any way they may see fit. We don't live in a society of homogeneity, so different people come to conversations with different temperaments and different kinds of language. But I think that all of us who preach in support of democracy must be willing to accommodate that democracy also means that people will be insulting and people will be irreverent and some will be very couth and disciplined in their language. It comes in all shades and forms, and we should be able to accommodate it all on board. You can't preach democracy and be upset that somebody disagreed with you or somebody even insulted you in how they express their thoughts. We don't all have to agree on a particular matter. I saw a question on the platform that says, can the Honorable Minister tell us how he used to commute to his constituency before he became a member of parliament? Yes, I used to commute to my constituency in my private vehicle, which was also a V8. But you would recognize that I am not on a private tour currently. And so I think that would be the difference there. I think it would be better if the state, instead of giving MPs a loan to go and buy a V8, it would be better if the state says that this is the standard of vehicle we want member of parliament to use. And therefore, we are providing one to each office. And we decide, is it a pickup? If it's a pickup, well and good. We provide that one to every member of parliament, that every member of parliament gets a pickup for your tour to your constituency and back. Then you don't go and ask the state to give you a loan to go and buy a V8. It's not going to be an $80,000 V8 with all of the things that come with it. But even a pickup will be more than somebody's annual pay. So somebody along the value chain will also complain that that is also expensive. But the principle would have been that the state has taken the decision, has capped everybody and has said, and then if somebody has his private V8 that he wants to use, that becomes a different matter. Two final things I want to, with your indulgence, mention before I go. For all of you in the diaspora who enjoy the environment in which you live and the country in which you live and the responsiveness of government to the various things around you, you also recognize that the level of taxes that are taken from you by the state are very high. Here in Ghana, one of the conversations governments always run away from is the domestic revenue mobilization conversation. And I honestly think that while we demand and encourage government to do more, which is the right thing to do, we also should have a conversation about how we are funding the delivery of all of our services. And included in the funding is the need for government to be also efficient in how it utilizes the resources that it mobilizes. It is fair to raise the question of what we are demanding from government. And that question should also be mixed with the question of what we are all doing and contributing to the public purse to deliver and how efficiently is being used. One alone doesn't solve it. All these three things, in my view, respectfully needs to come in. And then the final thing that respectfully I want to draw your attention to is fake news and false narratives. I'm sure you see it where you are. One of the opportunity costs of a democratized environment and a liberal media environment is that anybody sitting in his living room can sometimes cook up a story, put it on social media and share it around. I saw one a few weeks ago that I had said that the first lady was going to be paid $21,000 and the second lady was going to be paid, I think, $19,000. It was a total fabrication. I had never said anything. But people made memes out of it, circulated it on social media. Many people actually believed it. I saw one yesterday of the health minister where somebody says that he says he won't resign, blah, blah, blah. It's a total fabrication, never happened. But why is it succeeding? It's succeeding because many of us have also accepted that when we see something on social media, with the greatest of respect, we believe it. We don't go the next mile that let me go online and check the respectable websites in this country to find out if it is true. Some website must have reported it. And indeed, even if some website has reported it, I want to read the story myself and see if I'll find a quotation in there. What did the person actually say? I think it's one of the things that we should open our eyes to. If not, all of us will be fed a lot of stories that may be exaggerated, twisted, or untrue. And where we have to come together to do something for Ghana, we will not be able to do it. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be with you this evening. And unfortunately, I have to run to the COVID task force meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, for your time. I know you had challenges getting to us. We would have loved to have extra 30 minutes with you, but nevertheless, thank you. I know the meeting you're going is very important. Can I just say that you are somebody that does a lot of briefing for Ghana, and it will be something that we will be happy if you can at least, if I throw this invitation to you, once a quarter, make yourself available, because we, the diaspora too, have a need to know what is going on. And you being here today have exposed so many things that we take for what it is. So I will be very pleased if you can help us to understand things. Thank you very much. We wish you well with your next meeting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And so, my audience, thank you for being here. It's all time too soon that our minister has to attend a meeting, a very important meeting about COVID management and other things, which I'm sure all of you would like that to happen. Our next program will take place on the 6th of August, and it will be about a town hall meeting with Ghana High Commission. We have the Councillor Minister responsible for welfare and the Councillor Minister responsible for immigration and passport. For many of you who have issues with passports, in terms of passport, visa, questions about dual nationality, next 2 weeks, Friday, same time at 7 p.m., same place, Community Awareness Forum, we will be talking about these issues. So please tell somebody to join us. We thank you for your time. It is unfortunate that we have to end it half an hour earlier than anticipated, but for a good cause. And I hope that you have enjoyed being with us. Thank you, and have a very good evening. We will see you again in 2 weeks' time. And thanks to the technical team for such a sterling job. Thank you very much.
Enjoy some fabulous rewards. You get a cool £10 reward when you receive £100 or more from the UK. Tell your friends and family in the UK to send money to your mobile money wallet or bank account using Express Pay. And get an extra £10. Terms and conditions apply.